exhausted, and, and I'm feeling kind of loopy. So this is going to be kind of informal, and yeah, hopefully I won't pass out or something. But, anyway, I have a couple things I have to say first. I was just speaking to someone outside, and they said that the first time they talked about game AI to somebody, or the first time they talked about AI, the person thought they were talking about artificial insemination. So I'm very glad this person informed me of that, because it made me realize that I'm using AI everywhere, and I never even thought to kind of say what that stands for. Who knows what it stands for? Okay.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence. There we go. Who knows what that means?
Artificial intelligence?
Artificially intelligent.
I'll tell you what, it's not a very well-defined term, really. And especially in terms of game AI. I mean, we can talk about like a theoretical definition and stuff, but when it comes to your game, what AI is kind of really blurs around. There's a lot of different parts of your game that are partly AI and partly not, so we're going to go over that. But let's see.
The passive Turing test.
For the younger people here, what you're seeing is something called a chalkboard. We used to have these in the old days. And, as opposed to a whiteboard, or I don't know if you all just kind of hold tablets now, or what you do in school. Or maybe you guys all go to Starbucks for school. Is that what happens? I'm not sure which. Anyways, when I went to elementary school, I had a chalkboard that looked like this. The teacher had one, and my name was always on it with a check mark, just about every day. And I always felt like that made me important. I'm not quite sure why she always.
Those were troublemaking.
Oh, so we have a teacher here, so I was always in trouble. Anyway, yeah, I kind of do that, just to be honest. Anyways, if you see a check mark on something, that means like, oh, that's something kind of important to note. Something you might easily miss over. So check marks next to kind of little interesting activity things. You don't want to miss those. So begin. Qualifications. Why am I qualified to talk about AI? I don't really know if I am, but you're all here, so let's have some fun. Actually, I just kind of got lucky. I have a very lucky connection, a mentor, co-worker, and good friend who is one of the top people in the game AI community. And through this relationship, I've kind of got, pulled around with him, got to hang out with him, got to meet some of the highest people in game AI, which is really a huge blessing for me. I kind of got I'm like this godson of AI, where like hanging around with somebody who really is really up there, and so it's great for me. And through that, I kind of get I'm always hearing about AI, I get asked to do projects on AI and stuff. I don't do AI at my job, and also I'm not here representing my job, my company, legal detail, liability, blah blah blah. So whatever I'm saying to you here is from my own individual experience, my time in college, stuff like that. It's not from my company or work. That's very important. So, the game industry is a small community. It was a lot smaller before kind of the mobile boom. But within the game industry community, the AI community is even much smaller. And it's very fun to kind of be part of it. Even though I'm not an AI programmer by trade, I think it's very easy for you guys to kind of join that community and kind of get involved and see what's going on. And the people there, even just the guys at the very top, are super cool. They've been really nice to me. It's been really humbling, but these guys are so humble that it's nice to talk to them. They love to share. They love to bring people up. They're not really closed off about industry secrets and stuff. They kind of like to share things with you. They have good websites. At the end, we'll go over some of the places that you can see how they're sharing the websites that they have, the books that they're writing, and stuff like that. But for me, so what have I done in AI just besides hanging out with people? I had 4 student games where I did AI for the games. Those are on the college websites. I'm not actually going to talk about my student games, but that was a lot of fun. One of them was like a driving game. I had like this awesome game where I was a designer and an AI programmer, and the Mexican jumping beans declared war, and so there's this big battlefield full of little look like little pinto beans, really, and have big mustaches, and they have like guitars and cactuses and stuff. And there was troop formations and kind of fun coordinated AI and stuff, so that was cool. I've done 5 AI demos. My mentor friend is actually a professor at my college, and so I took his AI class and did a lot of demos there for pathfinding and tactical analysis and stuff. I got pulled in almost involuntarily to publish an AI article for a book that's coming out this year called Game AI Pro. That was a great experience for me. I'm really blessed to be able to do that. And in the end, because of all that, I'm trying to finish my master's degree, so my thesis will probably be on AI as well. So I know some stuff. My goal here would be like to help you guys learn how you can learn more about AI. But you might be thinking, why do you need to study it? And there's some good reasons. One of them is that right now you're probably implementing AI in your games, and you might be doing it the hard way, right? I mean, anytime you have some computer-controlled character in your game or something, right? You have AI going on, and you could just have like kind of a big mess of if statements, and you know, maybe you don't know like what kind of the processes are for making this cleaner and easier to do. You know? So that's one reason. If you implement really cool AI in your game, that's something that'll set your game apart. The AI really brings your game to life. And especially right now, like if you're in the mobile market and there's just like hundreds of thousands of games out there, AI is one thing that can be unique about your title. I know a lot of you are using engines that are doing cool graphics for you and cool physics for you and sound and all that stuff. So kind of where do you set things apart? You know, there's things like story and that. AI is one cool route that you can take to kind of be unique. Another thing is that since AI is so specific to your title, AI middleware can't cover everything. You know, there's some things that AI middleware is really good at, like pathfinding, and then there's other things that you just have to roll your own no matter what you do. Or if you use a middleware, you kind of have to specify so many parameters for it that you might as well almost do your own. So you really have to know what you're doing. And AI is really fun. AI and game design are very closely related. AI programmers tend to be very good designers, and vice versa. Your AI that you put into your game directly impacts the design of your game. I mean, you're making design decisions as you're putting up your AI. You really are. And so, it's the fun stuff. It's the stuff that the users really get to see. What we're going to talk about today is what game AI is. We'll try to touch a little bit on what it isn't to kind of help you find that divide. And like I said, the lines are very blurry in many ways. We'll go over just maybe 2 common techniques. There's not enough time to kind of go over everything, obviously, but I'll give you kind of a sampler, some terms, so that when you're working on a certain situation in your game, you kind of know what to look for to learn more about how to implement it. At the end, I'll share websites and books and stuff on where I learned my AI stuff. What is game AI? Who thinks they know? What is it? Oh, hold on, you cheat. No AAA developers.
Intelligence within bounds, usually to set perimeter of commands.
Okay, intelligence within bounds. Anybody else? Come on, be brave.
It's the representation of instructions that a character would follow that is not controlled through syncing.
Right. Something that's not directly controlled by a human being. Are there some types of AI that are controlled by a human being? Are there things where the human's controlling something, but the AI is also has a part to play?
Yes. All characters.
Seems like a scary Greek question or something. Yeah, no. Go ahead. What is game AI?
Well, what I was thinking of when you were talking about where the player also has control it is the versus opponent in a card game
Right.
or in a battle.
Yeah.
It's basically it's a simulated. It's the illusion that that a character, an NPC, has some sort of ability to think for themselves.
Oh man! Give her a prize. In fact, I'll give her a prize.
Question mark box.
Oh, Mom! That was a fantastic answer. Did you read this somewhere?
No.
technique that makes your game appear intelligent to a user. So anytime where the computer's doing something that normally only a human could do, or some living being, you know, like a dog or something. It's a very broad definition, right? And like I said, it's not kind of a very well-defined term. If you ask all the top AI, you know, game programmers, they'll mention probably something like this, but you know, based on kind of the area that they've worked in the most, they might add something in there, right? Like that makes your game appear to have human intelligence or something. Whereas other people working on flocking and stuff, I think, well, it doesn't have to be human intelligence, right? The animal, you know, intelligence.
I was just going to say the problem with the definition is that it doesn't define intelligent and it doesn't define the technique, which is, it's not any technique, it has to be any artificial technique.
So yeah, I mean, this is not like this perfect definition by any means. This is how I would define it. It's maybe playing it safe a little bit, but it's the goal is not to exclude anything. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And what happens even today is that some game that, you know, is really neat, the programmers come up with this new way of doing AI that kind of didn't fit any of the other definition. You know, The Sims was like that. It's like, whoa, it's a totally new kind of AI, very, very cool. But that's what we'll stick with for now. I mean, and if you get into AI programming and stuff, you know, make your own definition, or you know, you can iterate and stuff. So by no means a perfect definition, but there's just so many different things that are AI, and so that's, you know, that's what I'm putting up there. Your animation, is animation AI? Like if your guy's wounded and so he's walking like this, you know, is it AI?
Yes,
Yeah, but the what if there's no logic to it? What if this character's always wounded? He doesn't even have like a hit point stat behind the scenes. He's just a wounded guy, and he's just always, you know, is it AI?
If we react to the environment, so if he stumbles over a rock, then the AI and whatever controlling mechanism you have there has got to react to that. So there has to be a form of intelligence that you're going to take that rock.
Right. So there's kind of a, you know, it's kind of open, right? It really depends. And sometimes you have a situation where the user will say that's AI, and maybe there's no AI programming going on. Right? What about just an if statement anywhere? Is that AI? Computer's making a decision. Or is it just checking the fact?
If it's making it appear intelligent to the user, then it's AI.
There you go. That's what I'll stick with. If it looks intelligent, that's what it is, right? So AI overlaps with these things, obviously, right? And you'll have very good results with AI if you have a good artist that's kind of trying to help convey the emotion and the intelligence, you know, behind the scenes. One of the problems with AI is that when the AI programmers kind of go to a lot of work, that doesn't get exposed to the user. So there's like a lot of really complex, in-depth thinking going on behind the scenes. Very impressive AI to other programmers who can, you know, analyze the code or something, or the algorithms or the techniques. But if the user doesn't see it, it's kind of like it's all a waste, right? On the other hand, there's things that the users see that they think is AI. That's really not, right? There's a really popular first-person shooter where just adding a little bit of randomness to any game helps you have AI. In this game, the enemy soldiers that are running around trying to shoot you, at random, sometimes they would just jump to the side. Just at random, right? And the reviewer is writing about this game saying, the AI is so good, these guys would jump out of the way at the last second. Like when I switch to the big gun, they jump out of the way and they shoot me. It's amazing AI. It's just like totally random, right? So yeah, you know, it overlaps with things, and it's hard to tell. And you know, in some companies overseas and such, there's not such a clear division, you know, between AI. You know, there's companies in the East and South. It's like we have the enemies programmer. That's what he does. It's the enemies. Like, what the heck is that, right? You go to a Western, you know, big studio, and they're like, no. We have the AI engine. We have these game objects, and there's all this composition for, you know, for getting the behaviors and stuff. There you have, there's a lot of overlap. But one of the biggest, you know, things about AI, the biggest identifying traits is that it does something in a non-computer way. Something that kind of surprises you, like, oh, there's more than meets the eye, you know, going on over there. Or at least it looks like it does. Like the jumping is totally random. It made the reviewer think that it jumped out of the way, you know, just in time. And I said before, it directly impacts game design. This is really important.
It's true.
If you're thinking like, oh, let me go outsource my AI to somebody and then just, just give it to me when it's done, cool. Depending on what the AI is, if they're just providing you like an ASAR function, like a pathfinding thing or something, there's things you can do that with, but AI, it plays such an intimate part of your design, you really have to have control over it. So some more things that AI is. Agents performing intelligent behavior. So the game AI world, an agent is any game entity that's going to have artificial intelligence. So anything that does is an agent. So characters running around, enemies, patrolling an area, guards that'll run up and hit an alarm, schools of birds or fish that are kind of, flying, trying to look like how real birds, kind of flock together and stuff. Those are agents. Some agents might be unseen, right? There might be like an unseen referee in a sports game or something. Nowadays, of course, you probably see referees all the time. But there can be behind-the-scenes objects that are kind of communicating with all your AI agents to tell them what to do and stuff and managing them. That could be some object, some piece of code that's not even visibly, in the game. It's not like a character in your game, but it's behind the scenes controlling things.
The announcer on Madden.
What's that?
The announcer on Madden.
The announcer on Madden, yeah. Yeah, there you go. He's observing and responding and commentating.
Or the narrator in Bastion.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Same kind of.
Because that was like one of the big things that set the game apart, was that the narrator would actually react to how your character moved and what you did.
There you go. Yeah. So there's all kinds of things that are AI that maybe you don't even realize are AI. AI typically mimics thinking, even creativity. AI can be used for generating assets for your game. In fact, for this article I wrote for this book, I implemented a learning technique called engrams. You don't have to worry about it too much, but one of the uses for it was procedural generation, to where the AI would basically watch a designer kind of make a sequence of choices, right? In my example, you're like building trees. You have like a little tree maker software, and you can make like a trunk. You can make like thick branches, light branches, heavy foliage, light foliage. Put apples on top, whatever. And after watching you kind of pick out a sequence to build a tree, right? You could just build a bush if you started with foliage or something, right? You wouldn't have to make like a tree with a trunk. So like the designer or the artist, whatever, picks these pieces and builds a few trees. Then you can tell the AI, okay, now generate me 100 trees, and do it in my style. And the AI, just from observing what you picked, will sort of do things. So also you'll have like games like SimCity that kind of can auto-populate, a city in a certain way, and they can do this randomly, but it's not so random to where the city's just chaos, where the power's out here on an island and it's not connected to anything on the mainland, right? That doesn't happen. AI is smart enough. Group coordination, right? You have agents running around and they have to do things together. Somebody has to unlock the door and the guy has to kind of provide suppression fire or something, right? There's some intelligent group coordination going on. That's one of the identifying factors. Go ahead.
I just thought of Donald and Goofy in Kingdom Hearts,
There you go.
because they have to be our other party members, and it's not very common that the
Right.
game actually has your other party in a role-playing game completely uncontrollable.
Right, yeah, so you have controlled characters that are running around and cooperating with you. That's definitely AI. That's important AI too, because you rely on these guys to get through the game, right? And people often complain about them because, oh, the dumb guy got stuck behind something or didn't follow what I wanted him to do. He's getting in my way, he's not helping me. There's a lot of pressure when you're doing cooperative AI. Interpreting your input. Nowadays we have kind of very noisy input methods for games. We have like motion control and cameras that we're using everywhere. And when that happens, the AI has to take a limited set of data and try to reconstruct meaning out of it. This is definitely the realm of AI. And so motion control, even on your touchscreen, you think, how's a touchscreen AI, right? Well, if you ask somebody to like draw a line from left to right or right to left, and you're going to find out which direction they picked, right? The line's going to look like this. That way. It's going to look like it went right and then it's going to go left. Just because the thing is so precise when people, kind of touch the touchscreen. They meant to go left. They didn't mean to go right. Well, your AI kind of has to interpret that, interpret what they meant. if you're swinging a motion-controlled device, you have to figure out what the user is really intending to do, right? If they go to swing, you're going to see a lot of acceleration in the wrong way first, right? And you have to deal with that, right? It's the the physics of the situation. What about when you go to Google and you start typing in something to search for, and it's like, did you mean this? And you're like, holy cow, it's exactly what I was doing. Right? It's predictive text entry.
Well, cookies.
Cookies. Anyway, so yeah, this predictive text and stuff. It's helping you out. It's trying to predict what you mean, what you want. It's trying to pull meaning out of a limited amount of data. That's the realm of AI.
Or predict what to advertise.
So, get some examples. Is this game AI? Everybody seen the AI? Of course, right? Sports games have heavy AI. I mean, right in the mix, you have guys on your team, guys on the other team. You have this cooperative AI and this competitive AI that really, the whole game is in this AI. It's team effort game, right? And some of the silly basketball games, you have like two guys, and you can just push people out of the way and slam dunk. It's really fun. But when you have this like group effort, like hang time. Anyways, most sports games, right, especially the ones going for like the realistic, sports stuff, it's critically important. And for sports fans who are watching this all day on their HD TV, they want to see the guy look like this. I mean, look at this guy. He looks intelligent, doesn't he? I mean, look at what's going on. It looks like he's ready. And this is like the really good work of an artist, right? And the AI is kind of shining through so well that you can tell there's a good marriage of the AI and the artist work. Here's another game. This game is kind of terrifying. This gives me nightmares. The enemies in this game are like watching the National Geographic Channel at night when you're watching the snake eat the frog and you're about to cry. You're like, no, don't eat the frog. And they kind of, they don't just squash your Pikmin. They pick them up. They kind of open their gullet and they eat your guys. It's scary ways. But what's so interesting is that you kind of see the intelligence in the enemies and the way they go about it. They're not realistic because they don't come from the real world, right? But there's a strong sense of realism within the world, right? So there's being realistic, you try to mimic the real world. There's realism where you're trying to be very realistic within a fictitious world. And it's always kind of, it's interesting to look at how they act. So it kind of gives me nightmares. This game, I think, is pretty light on the AI. Especially compared to like the sports game where it's like the AI is so critical. I'm sure it's a huge part of the budget and production. In this game, I think the AI is probably very simple, but the look to the user, right? The bugs and stuff, they have to look real, and good art can kind of really help you. Who knows what game this is?
They talked about this.
Who said it first? Somebody over here.
This is Civilization. Many other people only said Civ.
Yeah, Civ. This is Civ 4. This game is, super heavy AI, right? You have these empires who, over like centuries, are going to be planning and building and trying to kind of replicate, what could happen in all these situations between war and economy and population growth, and all sorts of really neat things. The AI programmer of this game, I got to meet him. He's very humble, very cool guy. They're doing a lot. So a game like this, it's kind of, the AI is everywhere, right? It's not really too hard to find where's the AI in this type of game. These are the kind of games people think of when they think of AI.
Who's the AI on that? Who was it? Was the programmer?
Soren is his first name. Try not to tell too many people's names. Under Sid Meier.
Yeah.
A huge name, yeah. Okay, so some people probably know what game this is. Sometimes a very subtle addition of AI can kind of bring a lot of life to a game. This character doesn't always look like that with his face. His face actually changes quite a bit. And what's happening is there's enemies nearby. You might see one of their little crude weapons. And so when you're running around and an enemy's nearby, your guy will look over with this kind of threatening look, even if he's running this way on the land. A very subtle touch. There's gentle ways you can add AI to your game that you might not even have thought was AI. It's just kind of gameplay, just polish, you know. So in this case, you have again probably very simple AI behaviors with the enemies and stuff. It's not like super AI heavy game, but those little touches really bring it to life. And some people, if you ask users, you know, about like their, you know, some of their best AI experiences, some users will pick games that had very light AI, very little, you know, AI programming was done. But it was the little touches like that that kind of made them, you know, feel like the game had good AI. So I just threw this in last night. This is Animal Crossing, and it dawned on me that you have this persistent world filled with these AI villagers. It's, again, it doesn't feel like a really heavy AI game, but you're interacting with them all day. So it's kind of like the users interacting with the AI all the time. The AI is not too complex. I mean, they'll write letters to you and stuff, but the end effect on the user is that they spend all day with these virtual characters, and this game is very emotionally attaching. And so it's interesting how, again, with this kind of simple AI, you can still get a lot of mileage out of it. Just trying to do it right. And I don't think this game was trying to aim really heavy for, you know, heavy AI. But yeah, it's in places where you kind of. So some people might think of this game and think, oh, it's like very heavy AI. It's not. It's very, very light AI. Who knows what this game is? You be quiet. You're like the head guy. Who knows what this is?
Facade.
Facade.
Yeah. Who worked on this game? Somebody famous around
He was president.
here. No.
It was an
Cheryl, right? No?
Her
Her professor.
mentor, her professor.
Yeah. Her advisor. Oh, did she work on this?
I don't think she did. No.
Oh, okay. Anyways, yeah. So Cheryl's our good friend here, and her advisor. This is like his pet project. Very cool game. You have these two interactive humans, and you just type whatever you want to them. You know, and right when you start the game, you know, you show up at their like apartment, and you know, you're over there, I guess, as a dinner guest or something. They're having issues, and it's sort of the elephant in the room type situation. And so as you kind of talk to them through real text, right? You type out real sentences to them, ask them questions and stuff. They'll kind of open up to you, and you'll kind of dig into what's going on. You'll kind of realize more about the relationship. You can help their relationship. This is not a typical kind of game.
So what's the name of the game?
Facade. I'm sorry, I should have said that. Yeah, the game is called Facade. And you can play it online. It's at interactivestory.net, I think is or .com. Anyways, you can Google it. It's the image that looks like this in Google, that's what the game is. Anyway, yeah, fascinating AI in this game, and it's such a bold, you know, kind of ambition. Yeah, if you say something weird or negative to them right at the beginning, if the guy opens the door to let you in, if you say something, you know, vulgar or something, he'll just kind of look at you and close the door.
He has a problem with melons for some reason.
Yeah.
If I say melons to him, he closes the door.
There's a pro tip. Tell him melons. This game is 100% AI. Very complicated. I mean, if you think about like a lot of enemy behaviors, a lot of even cooperative AI behaviors and stuff, you kind of have a state where it's okay, I'm patrolling. I see an enemy. Okay, I'm done patrolling or I'm dead. And in this game, it's like what state are they in? Right? It's very complex. Yeah? I mean, they kind of, it's kind of very much mirrors like human real life relationship issues kind of situation. Where's the AI in this game? You almost don't need it. You just adorable puppy. That's all you need, right? So this is Nintendogs plus Cats, which is the sequel to the original Nintendo. And gosh, I keep looking at this. So obviously you guys all have seen Nintendogs. You get to like rub the dog on the touchscreen, you pet the dog. The dog responds to your voice. The voice control in the game came out so well and was sort of so simple. It's simply recording you speak when you give the dog a command. And then later, when you try to give the command again, it just checks to see if you sounded like you did last time, right? Very simple, but and what happens is like this voice recognition is so difficult, especially if you go back to like 2006. I think it was when the game came out. There's such a high failure rate for voice control. And if I was like in this military game, or like I'm in the hospital room and I'm saying, scalpel, right? If it doesn't get it right, it's critical, right? It's catastrophic. Well, in this game, if I say sit and the dog doesn't sit, hey, that's real life 70% of the time, right? So it's kind of a very elegant solution for the problem. It's only 60%, 70%, of the time it's going to work. Well, it's a puppy, of course, right? So in the sequel, they obviously worked on the eyes quite a bit. You don't usually see this much detail in the sorts of games from this company. That's the, anyway, so what's so cool is that when you play the game, there's the camera facing you on the inside of the 3DS. So playing it like this, and the camera is doing AI to find your face, right? Which all cameras now do every so often. Anyways, they find your face, and then they know where your eyes are. They kind of locate your eyes within the face, and the dogs will look at your eyes. And so if you kind of move around, the dogs will, look at your face. There's some facial recognition features where if you hand the game to a friend to show them your puppy, well, based on your dog's breed and its temperament and all that, you might not take kindly to strangers. And so the dog can get kind of afraid or bark, but then when he sees you, maybe he, comes out and tries licking your face. And there's 3D on the system, so you can see this little tongue kind of come out trying to lick your face. And then there's cats, too. So in this case, the face identification, right? The face recognition, finding the eyes, that sort of thing. This is very easily provided by like a middleware provider. You can get libraries, I'm sure, on just about every platform with a camera. But it's very simple. But it gives you such a strong sense of AI, like such a strong sense of puppy intelligence. When it came out of this game. I had the game open to feed my dog one night. I was at a small group, and there's like a 5-year-old kid that was coming and looking at it, and you see the dogs running around and play. And he tells his mom, he says, "Mom, those aren't real, right?" Of course not. He knew they weren't real, but they just kind of looked too real in that moment. Really good AI can kind of do that. And sometimes it doesn't take a ton of groundbreaking AI, but just like a good utilization of the AI that's out there. You can do something similar, pretty easily. Middleware will provide pretty much everything. Who knows what game this is? What is it?
Supreme Commander or Supreme Commander Forged Alliance.
There we go, Supreme Commander. So real-time strategy games have very cool AI. This game has like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of units around, and just by the sheer load of all the different agents in this game that are on the battlefield and have to be doing things at once, the studio had to kind of use crazy techniques and kind of come up with new stuff. I think they used a lot of flow fields in this game, which is something that is not used a lot at all. We'll touch on those later to get to see examples. For group coordination, obviously they have a lot of units. You have all these like ships flying, right? And they all have to go, probably they're all going to like the same target maybe, but they still are individual enough that the placement of them, you can tell they kind of scrambled out there pretty quick. They're not in a perfect formation. It makes them more realistic. A little bit of variation really brings out a very natural. Very, very cool. Who knows what this game is?
SimCity 1.
All right.
SimCity.
SimCity.
Yeah.
Now, if you've worked on games where you did like enemy behavior and stuff, then all of a sudden you come to SimCity. Well, now what are you going to do? How is this city supposed to grow? Right? You got to do research and stuff. So they use this cellular automata that kind of, you place a zone. This is an industrial zone. This is a police department. I'm not quite sure what this is.
Residential.
It looked like it was residential, but they're crazy because they put it right next to it. It's supposed to be like
Yeah, there's no
low
reason
cost,
why it
yeah.
should be.
So yeah, I mean, you got, who wants to work next to like stinky factories? Or I mean, who wants to live there, right?
Cheap rent.
Yeah, cheap rent.
But
So-
if you create.
and there is a police department right there, so maybe that's helping the community. Yeah. Anyway, so you can tell just by the way we're talking about it, kind of how it works. These zones influence each other. You know, they build each other up or down. And the user kind of just places these zones. They don't really do much else than just kind of place things and see what happens. But I mean, I've spent countless hours in this game, even as a kid. And let me tell you something, city management is not something I was interested in as a kid, except for like this game, right?
Right.
You know, especially when I'm like 10. Yeah. So here's a game where, you know, it's obviously 100% AI and just totally different than typical types of. Who knows what this guy thinks? The Sims. So here we have like hundreds of little, you know, AI agents living their lives. There's like a million things they can do, right? So how do you even begin like making AI for this? Do you just like where do you start? If I'm this character right here, I'm in this house. There's a million things I can do. How do I decide what I want to do right now? Like obviously maybe I have needs. I'm hungry or something. How do I decide?
You can think about it in the shower.
Yeah. Multitask. Go take a shower, and while you're having a shower, you think about the team.
You just go play video games no matter what need you have.
So
That's what I do in real life.
that's where, yeah.
But it happens in the game too. If you get one of the like Ocular Rift of their universe things that have been around for like 3 years, it doesn't matter if your character's starving. They'll be like, I don't know why they'll always be, I'm gonna go play some video games and watch TV.
So this game had this revolutionary new idea that they put the AI is not in the characters. I mean, there's AI in the characters, don't get me wrong. But the majority of the AI for their actions is in all the stuff, in the couch, at the table. What they did is they said, well, let's just, if we're going to make a new object in the future or something, you know, we don't want to have to update the whole game. And there's kind of lots of good reasons for this, but what they decided was, for this chair, let's have the chair store the code for how to animate sitting on the chair. Let's have the chair know what it can offer to the sim. It can offer you some rest, you know, some relaxation points or something. And the fridge, you know, where's the refrigerator? Here's the kitchen. Yeah. So the refrigerator is going to be broadcasting, you know, hey, I am where I am. Here's my position. Here's what I can offer. I can offer food. Right. So these agents walk around being broadcasted to by all these different things, and whatever they're kind of drawn to is based on their own needs and stuff. So it's like this total twist, right? Because you always expect like, oh, the agent, you know, the agent has, you know, all the AI for them and their decision making is in there, their animation and stuff. It's all tied to the agent. But in this game, it wasn't. And one of the big benefits is that later I can come out with a new type of object. Later, I want to make like a weight bench, and I drop in a weight bench later with an update. All of a sudden, the animation for how to use it, what it can do, and all that is just it's a little object. It's a smart object. Genius. And I met Richard, one of the guys that did a lot of work on the Sims. It's a very, very cool guy. Very fun. Well, one thing that can bite you again is when your AI can't be seen by the player or interpreted by the user. So one experience was I had a situation where like in the park there's Sims like a boyfriend, girlfriend, or hopefuls having a picnic. And then one of the guy's friends is going to walk by. Now, if the guy is rude, right, he might just kind of walk up to their picnic and, hey, how's it going? Let me sit down and have some of your sandwich or whatever. When the user sees that, though, or they know that that sim is rude, are they going to associate that with him, or are they going to think, well, that's dumb, why did he just come to the picnic? Or are they going to think, oh, maybe he was invited? Like, are they going to know what's going on? So they have like little visual recognition to see how the sims are thinking and feeling. Yeah, you have to be real careful. It's such a kind of neat personal idea to put into a game, but make sure your users can actually pick up on it. What game is this?
Rainbow Six?
Oh, yes.
My dad loved these games.
Thanks, I feel old. 32, and I feel a lot even older than that now. So,
He was, don't worry, he was a really cool computer gaming. It's not like when I was 20.
the damage is done. So, anyway. Obviously, shooters are a game where tactical AI, is a very strong element. It's very important. Rainbow Six is kind of neat because it focuses so much on, on planning out the tactical AI and giving commands to your guys. So for so many Western game studios, a ton of AI research, is being put into these types of games just because, they're continuing to kind of perfect the method. And then the players want to have a good AI, right? Players expect it. A lot of cool AIs come out.
Should we start getting onto subjects? It's getting there.
All right.
Now we're endless.
How long do I have? An hour and a half? And how much have I spent? 50 minutes? My slideshow says 50 minutes. Anyway. Okay. Right. So we talked about, I kind of got ahead of myself earlier, talking about motion control and stuff. So here you have people obviously experiencing, systems in a new way that they hadn't before. And the AI is quite good at sort of picking up what you're doing if you use it right? If you try to take a controller and tie it to your leg and make a kung fu game, it's not going to work. But in a very controlled environment, I'm doing one specific action or something. You can give people an experience that they haven't had before, and obviously, it had a huge impact.
We have half an hour.
Yeah. Okay. This is Wii Music, a very different music game. This is music creation in this game. What happens is you play the controller, and the AI is picking out just the rhythm and the intensity of you moving the controller and trying to pull out and generate a melodic sound. Just trying to pull out a nice harmony, like trying to make your notes sound like what you meant. And one thing I love about the game is how well it can kind of read my mind. I'm not a musician at all. And what's so neat is that it can kind of get what I wanted. And when I want to modify a song in a certain way, it can kind of pick up on exactly what I wanted, which is great. So I kind of hope to see more games like this that I kind of offer that kind of new generation and creation. Because like at home, I was sharing with Kingsley earlier that like my wife, she's a musician, a classical pianist, and what she started doing was she would play on the real piano while I was playing the game and kind of play with me. I got this experience of playing in an ensemble a little bit, even though I'm not hitting notes, right? The game is doing so much for me, but I still got to feel that experience. Kind of like with the baseball, it's like I'm not playing for baseball, but I still get that thrill of playing the ball. Here's some augmented reality. Is there a lot of AI in this game? A little bit of AI? What do you think? You guys know what's happening here? I put a card on a table.
Yeah.
So here's a table with my keys and my notebook. I put a card down, and when I look through my system, on the screen, I see all this stuff in this virtual world acting like it's on my table in the real world. This is augmented reality. And there's almost zero AI going on here, which sometimes kind of stumps me. Basically, the camera is finding the card and realizing, where it should draw things in the world, and that's it. AI's done. And then any other AI that happens to be in the game, any other characters or something, that's just going to be, the application, not the AR part. And so, that's one thing I wanted to throw out because a lot of people think it's very heavy AI. It's not at all. There's face raiders where you take a picture of your face with the system, and then all of a sudden your face gets stolen into the game by the face raiders, these little alien head guys. And she's not making this expression, but the game has kind of contorted her face to make her look like this little evil person. And then they'll fly around, trying to shoot you. If they get really close to you, they'll kiss you. And you, very, very sort of non-violent game. And these guys are coming at you in the real world, so you have, there might be one coming from over here. You have to look over there and shoot them. It's a very, very fun game. But the experience of seeing your own face, start making expressions that you're not making is startling, but very fun. These are also libraries that are easy to find. So here's SpeedTree is this company, this middleware company that will make incredibly realistic trees for you. They have tools that will generate these trees. You can even like get the certified ID that this exact tree, is my tree that I bought, and generated. It's just incredible. This is definitely a very impressive AI to be able to generate these trees and make them look so organic. These are not modeled by human beings. This is AI that grew these trees. This game, this game has a lot of AI. It's a major part of the game. You have the ghost. I don't remember their names. Leaky Soup, Curly, Dickory Dog. I don't know. But they. Yeah, people are gonna hate me now. How did you forget the name?
One of them had a really normal
Yeah.
name.
They had names?
So yeah, they did. So anyways, the one ghost will just charge you and just try to get you right off the bat. The other one will be indirect, by like a turn or so. The third one will I don't remember what the third one was. Hang
Goes
back.
the wrong way first.
And then there's the fourth one that just ignores it. And they'll actually like attack in waves. They'll come in strong and then they'll back off and all that. It's got a lot of AI in this game for such an early game. Really fascinating. When I first was presenting preparing my slideshow, I realized that I was too detailed in the implementation. And based on a little feedback, I decided I need to kind of maybe give a good introduction to the types of things that are AI. What is game AI is kind of a very important concept. And so that's why I want to spend a lot of time on giving examples. And then as far as like implementation, how-tos and stuff, I'm going to give you guys resources for that. There's no way in an hour I can kind of teach you how to implement all this great kind of thing. Some things to know. I mean, artificial intelligence is artificial. And sometimes you kind of know what the player is going to do, and so you make a bad decision anyway because you're trying to balance difficulty or something, right? It's very easy for AI to like completely destroy a player in a competitive environment, right? Very easy. And often there's kind of like techniques on how to tone that down and stuff. But it's important that your AI can kind of be as accurate as possible if it's doing player prediction or such. And then you kind of purposely tone down. If you can predict that the player, you're playing Street Fighter 2 or something, you can predict that the player's about to do a nuke, then you can block, you can jump, or just have the guy take a hit, right? Now if he just stands there and takes the hit, maybe the player's gonna feel like, don't make me feel dumb, right? So maybe you can, try to do an attack at the last second where you'll end up getting hit, and then the player kind of feels like, oh, I pulled off that move just great. Another thing is that it is artificial intelligence. Sometimes behind the scenes is very dumb, but you still have a good effect. Making the weakness believable is like the Nintendogs thing. If you have an elegant way to explain why the AI is not working, you're in a good spot. I'll show you a very early example of AI that I always thought was very impressive. Who knows what game this is?
Breath of Fire?
Oh, you're killing me.
Lunar?
Equinox. Yeah.
All right, next person, the person who gets it gets a prize now.
Pokemon.
Pokemon!
Final Fantasy
Zelda?
1, Final Fantasy 2,
Fire
Final
Emblem?
Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 4,
It's a game.
Legend of Zelda.
Stop!
Final Fantasy.
Stop!
Dragon Age.
It's called The Secret of Mana.
What?
Man, Secret of Mana.
Oh!
And,
It's an anime.
Secret Mana.
That's that 4
I get
game,
it.
I think.
What is that?
It's candy.
DS?
I quit on reading. Let's see, how do I play this? So let's just watch some AI in this game. Oh, do I have some?
I thought Secret of Mana was an anime.
Oh, just stop.
At least I know what Rainbow Six was.
Okay, maybe we don't have sound. But anyways, we can see what's going on here yet. It's going to run up and hit. This is I was going to ask what enemy this is, but you guys couldn't even figure out what game it was.
It looks like a Tana game.
Like a fauna or something.
So what did we see? Like what AI, sort of techniques, what things stood out to you about the behaviors? Did that look special at all?
He gave his money away.
Yeah, but
You can close his eyes.
yeah, I thought this was like incredibly lifelike. I remember enjoying this as a kid. So like, what happens is he comes up here, and this is called a rabbit. It's a rabbit that bites you. It's a rabbit. Kind of like Pokemon, whatever, right? Anyway, so the rabbit comes charging at the player, takes a hit with the sword, right? And then after that, ouch! It's going to kind of shake its head and think, what do I do? And then it starts fleeing. After it's fleeing, it gets cornered. What can I do now? It just, cringes. And if the player turns away, then it's going to start hopping again and find a way out of here. But then the player comes back and then, please don't hurt me. I'm not going Because it makes you feel, pity towards the poor little guy. And then if the player goes far enough away, he's going to start going back. Extraordinary. This game is gosh, when did this game come out? 1992 or 3 or something like that. We had seek and flee behaviors, or steering behaviors, or chasing the player or fleeing the player. States, right? He was scared, cringing. The animation is kind of spot on. It's simulated learning, which I was so impressed with. Is after getting hit by the sword, you see him kind of shake back and forth, like, what do I do? What do I do? It's like he just learned something. Like, oh, that guy's going to hit me. I don't want that to happen again. And then he changes things. This is controlled, no doubt, by a very simple state machine. But that sense of learning is incredibly advanced AI field, right? And it usually takes like PhD people from big universities and stuff to play with neural nets and kind of very advanced AI. I was talking to someone earlier about the Forza game series. They have this mode called, I'm going to get it wrong, so don't hate it's Drivinator or something like that. Anyways, where the cars will kind of learn, how to drive on the racetrack, using neural nets. Very advanced topic. Learning is very difficult in games, and in this case, we kind of faked it so easily with such a great effect. You start studying AI and stuff, you'll hear people say that, certain fields, certain areas of AI, they're too risky, they're too expensive. Don't try to start using a neural net for all your AI. I would agree with that. But you don't have to stay away from advanced things like learning. You can fake it so easily with some animation and it's a mistake. All right, so I'm going to run into going over state machines. This is one thing I think you can kind of walk away with that you might actually kind of know what you're doing afterwards. So we'll kind of try to blast through it. State machines are what we use for state-based behavior. If you're coming from the academic context, you'll hear finite state machines, there's more machines, reading machines. We use kind of a blur of all those for game AI. There's a big division between kind of academic AI and game AI. Very different. It's almost like two different things. So let me just kind of give you a crash course in state machines. A lot of times you have a character in a game, simple AI agent, who is going to act one way. Something happens, it's going to act different. So let's go through like kind of a use case. Your designer says, okay, I'm making a game. I'm going to have a Grim Reaper. Who knows what game this is from? Not you, be quiet! Who knows what game this is from? Okay. Oh, did you guys all hear it? Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, so the designer says, okay, I want the Grim Reaper to patrol the situation, patrol an area. Just keep doing that. And then if we see the player, right, then we're going to freak out, scare the player half to death, send out these evil little flying guys that just continue to scare the poor child player half to death, until the player either dies or gets out of there, after which we'll be calm, but those little flying guys will still be attacking and putting them in so that the guy can calm down. Very simple AI.
What was the name of the game?
This is actually Kid Icarus was the name of the game. In 1986, this game came out. I was 5 years old. It was the year I got my first Nintendo system. And these guys scared the living daylight out of me. They have this freaky music. It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, like and it just scares you. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember it. Yeah, they actually finally kind of remade, the game recently. This is Kid Icarus on the 3DS. The Reapers are much bigger, but I don't know. The old ones still scare me more than Okay, so what does this look like? I mean, if you're talking to the designer, okay, you kind of know what they want, right? It's very simple, so maybe at this point you can just turn away and start coding it out. But I claim that there's something that either the designer can do, or you could do, or you can both do it together to kind of, clarify what you want done and kind of agree on what's going to happen here. So we're going to make a state diagram for the state of the Reaper. He's on patrol state, right?
Yep.
And then that's the start state. And so when you're drawing state diagrams, it's important to show where you start. Something people forget, even though it's kind of so simple. It's like, okay, when the game initializes, what's going on? All the characters are all wonky. It starts in the patrol state. If it sees the player, we go to the freakout state. Yeah, now you guys know what's happening here, but what's important to walk away with is like, okay, how do you draw these things? These are circles, these are lines. When do you leave the freakout state? Well, the player has to be gone. Well, how long? What if in one frame the player was gone, then the player comes back? Are you going to be swapping through states? No. So let's, maybe that's something that you need to work out with the designer when you start drawing the diagram. Like, okay, when the player's gone, then I'll go back to the control state. Okay, what does that mean when the player's gone? How long? In fact, to get here, how did we, just as soon as we saw the player, we jumped over? Did we have to see the player for a little while? Did we want some delay to make it like a surprise? Like often when you have guards on patrol, right, they're not expecting something to happen, right? They're walking around in case something happens, but if something does happen, there's kind of a delayed reaction, right? Especially in realistic games with human characters and stuff, we need some reaction time, right? So you need to work that into your state machine. In this case, if the player's gone for 2 seconds, fine, we don't care, we're back to normal. And the little evil flying guys will take care of the rest, I guess. So what's happening here is that within the state, when I'm in the patrol state, I have a bunch of code that's executing while I'm in that state, right? There's code that needs to check if I see the player. That could happen every iteration through every update in the control state. It may not happen every update. It may happen every AI update. It may happen every 3 AI frames. Then when I'm in the freakout state, I have totally different behavior. This can be coded separately. And I think that for people that are just starting out, that's something that that can really help is because right now you might have just this big function or this big file with just all these nested if statements, and you're kind of checking the entire state of the world in every situation to find out if it's been 2 seconds. And using the state machine, you kind of have this very separate separate code areas. So starting out, it makes your life so much easier to debug. As your flow of execution goes between I'm in the state, then I transition to another state. That's a perfect place to have logging, right? It's a perfect place where I can step through a debugger, but even without the debugger, I can log to an output file. I can see how I went from one state to the next. I can always find out why the agent did something, why they did what they did. I have a cookie trail that shows me how they got there. So state machines are very, very powerful for that. They're probably the most well-used AI technique anywhere. To show you what the code would look like, you have some code for patrolling back and forth. I'm not going to bother with the details. Here's a good chance where you kind of make your state machines. Those can be sort of separated from your game to where you can use them on future projects. And the specifics of what it means to patrol back and forth, those could be functions, that look up locations, within a certain game. They can be game specific, right? So here's a good opportunity to kind of have some decoupling between the exact position on the screen or something in your game versus having something in your AI. It's good if you can kind of separate when you can. Your AI architecture, your AI constructs and structure, the engine of your AI versus everything else. I think a lot of you, you have like scripts on a character and all your AI is in there, right? In this situation, you can sort of have your AI separate, these separate, separate AI engine scripts that are kind of driving things. And that way you don't have to kind of repeat your code everywhere. If you're rewriting your state machine logic in every character script or something, any bugs, any logging you want to turn on or off and stuff can kind of be a mess. Have some copy-paste problems. Anyway, okay. So here's the freakout state. What's important that I need to point out is that when you enter a state, there's some things that happen when you first show up, right? So we usually label this as the on-enter logic. This is only going to happen one time when I come into the freakout state. And then every update of the freak-out state, I'm doing something else. When I leave the freak-out state, I need to clean up after myself, right? Change back. I'm not in the scary texture anymore. I'm in the slightly less scary texture. Stop the crazy music. Any special effect going on the screen, you know, that needs to stop. Right? And then the next time I come in the freak-out state, I'll do it again. So your on update in the freak-out state would basically keep track of the time and then change the state with the time. Here's the kind of driving logic. This is like incredibly primitive, and the kind of state machine code I use doesn't look like this, but this kind of gives you the concept. I mean, we filled in these code blocks for what happens when I'm in control state or in freak-out state. But what drives that? What's the kind of outer machine that's changing the states and stuff? This is state machine code that will, you know, drive any of the agents in your game that are using state machines. So you kind of have, usually you have like your state machine classes, and that are not specific to any agent. And then you have your state classes that are specific to a given agent. That's where the behaviors are here. This is the engine over here calling the states. Does that make sense? I'm very important, not fascinating. Anyway, some of you might have been thinking, well, where is that code exactly? So here's where it goes. This needs to get updated like basically every frame, you know, to decide which agents are going to be updated. I covered some of this already. State machines are the most common technique, heavily used. One of the biggest benefits in my mind is that because the designer and the AI programmer can be in sync with what's expected, the designer can draw those state diagrams, right? We didn't even really look at code here. So I mean, this isn't something where you have to have programming knowledge. A designer can look at those states, and it should be very straightforward to it. If state machines aren't going to work for you, yeah, there's cases where they won't. If you had a ton of transitions, like a ton of reasons why I might change to the same state, you know, you start having like more transitions than states, then in that case, it's time for a different architecture. And so like a rule-based architecture checks a bunch of conditions about the world. Decision trees can be used, help you branch through. Okay, look, am I wounded? Yes or no? Okay, not wounded. Okay, do I have ammo? Yes or no? Okay, yes I do. You know, you kind of branch through this you know, states of things to find out what to do. I wanted to go over movement and navigation just a little bit. Pathfinding is something that middleware can handle for you, and I kind of, it irks me to say that because I don't want you to just turn around and, you know, and ignore it or anything, but obviously this is a problem that is very decoupled from game specifics in many ways. Kind of the core engine of pathfinding is kind of solved for you, and you can kind of add on to that by using middleware and stuff. So I won't go into pathfinding, but it is a very huge topic, still very actively researched. And when you know where you're going to go, how do you get there? Well, what surprises some people is when they first start like programming the logic to just move my character from here to there, right? I'm going to go this way, right? I'm usually like accelerating, and then if I'm accelerating, I got to my point, I'm still going so fast that I just blast right through my target at full speed, right? And so I have to decide, like at one point, okay, I need to start decelerating, right? But I have to do that right, or else it kind of looks silly. If you kind of come in too fast, you'll start like orbiting around the person, because every time you come through them, you kind of need to turn back around. So, anyways, I don't really have the time to go into the steering behaviors. I wanted to show you some, just because there's so much going on that I think I might need to skip. I'll just throw out some terms. So that if you have a situation in your game where you need to use some kind of AI architecture, you don't know what to study, don't know what to go look up. You know, there's AI programmers that came before you who have kind of paved the way and you know, set up these paradigms, these idioms of how to implement things. Planning is when, you know, I need to do this and then that, right? I have to prepare ingredients and then I can cook, you know, the recipe. I'm in a real-time strategy game, and I need to know, can I light up the icon for the Star Destroyer, because is the player able to build the Star Destroyer? Well, I have to know, okay, did the player build this, did the player build that? If I'm doing the AI, that's going to, you know, fight against you in StarCraft or something, right? If the AI's goal is to build a certain kind of unit, it has to know what you know, buildings and factories I have to build first, right? This is the realm of planning. Group coordination is kind of self-explanatory. Agents working together. It's there's a lot of different techniques, a lot going on there for you to look up. But you can find group coordination or cooperation, and you find something there. If you have a situation where you have characters that need to work together, there's basically two kinds. They can have some manager that's communicating to them what to do, or they can be sort of emergent, where it's like, I just do my task, and this other guy does his task. And that just happens to work out because our tasks are sort of so parallel. Tactical terrain analysis is a huge thing for a lot of games. Yeah, it's just so hard to kind of rattle off all these things so quickly. Sorry, it's hard to package all. If you have a game where you want the agents to take advantage of the terrain, right? I know that right here, if I jump down, it's a cover point. Actually, this is a terrible cover. Don't ever do it. Here's a cover point, right? If I have like designers building a level, if I have a lot of content, it's kind of it's too much repetitive work for them to kind of have to place each cover point. I can use some AI techniques to kind of analyze a level and find the cover points, right? And I'm obviously much more exposed up here than if I was up against the wall, right? And so you can have AI that they're going to travel from here to that door, but kind of jumping across the seats or just running down the main aisle is probably not the best way to do it. You know, maybe another, kind of leapfrog from cover point to cover point. That's tactical terrain analysis. Agent sensing. Another thing, you got like stealth going on in your game. The player's going to hide or something. If you have like a zombie game where it's like the player knows they're leaving a scent trail behind, and so they kind of want to double back on it and run. You know, like they're going to buy time. Learning, we kind of discussed, so I don't know if I'll say it more. Behavior trees is it's kind of a newish type thing. I mean, it's been out years now, but it combines planning with state machines. The industry, seems to really be going the way of behavior trees because they're this great compromise between what a state machine can do for you and what a planner can do for you. So if you're getting into AI, you definitely want to look at behavior trees now. Something that's kind of much newer is this utility theory. That I guess you can just look it up because I'm way past that. Yes, now here where you can learn stuff. There's actually not a whole lot out there. Surprisingly. The Game AI Wisdom book, AI Game Programming Wisdom series, is a great series. Like every AI programmer has these books. They can be hard to get now though because the AI community is so small. But there's a lot of really good stuff because all the AI, basically these are collections of articles written by all these AI programmers sharing what they did in their like AAA titles and stuff. Ian Millington's book, Artificial Intelligence for Games, was a textbook I used that I highly recommend.
He's also got a physics book as well.
Oh, does he now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I haven't read him or anything. But here's the book that I actually have an article in. It's coming out, expected in September. GameAIPro.com is the deal. This is like the spiritual successor to the AI game programming wisdom.
So you're going to be a series? Or is it just a single book?
I don't know if I can say that. Or, yeah. Yeah. In fact, I won't get in trouble. But yeah, I think basically the way AI programmers are looking at it is like there was the wisdom books, and those are kind of done I think now, and now there's the Game AI Pro book. And I think as long as AI is still growing and stuff, it's still continuing obviously. So and with new systems and new processing power, the AI is now kind of getting more cycles to actually do interesting things. So there will definitely be more AI books, I'm sure, by the community. And I expect that there will be. Or it maybe not in this exact name or series or publisher or whatever, but there will be more AI books. So community websites are up there. AI Game Dev, guy named Alex, super cool dude. Him and his wife are so active, kind of helping people get into the game AI. I highly recommend going there first. AI Wisdom is sharing a bunch of like basically where to find papers and articles on certain topics. So that's a great point to kind of find which book you go. GameAI.com is the AI Game Programmers Guild that you can, as you kind of get involved in the community, you can get invited into this guild. There's an AI Summit at the Game Developers Conference, which is very well attended. Very cool to go there. You can hang out with people right at the top of the industry and spend your time with them. They're very welcoming. So